Where's the money? I slammed my laptop shut as my wife's face drained of color. 3 years of savings for my daughter's surgery gone. On my screen, my cousin Kevin's Instagram showed him downing cocktails at a 5-star resort in Bali. The same resort our family fund was supposed to pay for. I stared at the now black screen, my hands trembling. The fund we'd created for Emma's spinal surgery, $43,000 that 27 family members had contributed to, had been emptied yesterday. Every cent withdrawn by the fund's co-administrator, my cousin Kevin, who I'd trusted like a brother. Maybe there's an explanation, Sarah whispered, her voice breaking as she reached for my arm. I jerked away, already dialing Kevin's number. He answered on the third ring. Music thumped in the background, and I could hear laughter and the clinking of glasses. Hey, Ryan. What's up, man? His voice was light, carefree, as if he hadn't just betrayed his own family. The money's gone, Kevin. All of it. My voice was eerily calm, even to my own ears. And somehow you're in Bali at the Amankala resort. The same day. There was a brief silence, then a low chuckle that made my stomach turn. Look, I was going to pay it back. Emma doesn't need that surgery right away. She's in pain every day. My shout was so loud that Sarah flinched beside me. The surgeon had an opening next month. We were ready. Chill out. My investment will double the money in 6 months. Everyone wins. The doorbell rang, cutting through our conversation. I looked up to see Emma hobbling into the living room, her back brace making her movements stiff, her face pinched with the pain she tried so hard to hide. I'll destroy you for this, I whispered into the phone, then ended the call. As I rose to answer the door, I grabbed the medical folder from the coffee table, the one containing Emma's latest scans, the surgeon's notes, and the now useless reservation for her operation. The doorbell rang again, more insistent this time. I yanked the door open to find Aunt Martha and Uncle Steve, Kevin's parents, standing on my porch, their faces grim. Ryan, we need to talk, Uncle Steve said, pushing past me into the house. I clutched the medical folder, knuckles white, as they settled themselves on my couch like they owned it. The same couch where Sarah and I had slept many nights when Emma's pain was too severe for her to sleep alone. Kevin explained everything, Aunt Martha began, her voice dripping with condescension. This is just a misunderstanding. I slapped the medical folder onto the coffee table between us. No misunderstanding. Your son stole $43,000 from a child who needs surgery. Uncle Steve leaned forward, his banker's instincts kicking in. He's making an investment that will benefit everyone. The money will be back, with interest, before Emma really needs it. Before she needs it? I repeated, incredulous. I opened the folder and shoved the surgeon's letter under his nose. Dr. Patel had a cancellation. Emma's surgery was scheduled for July 15th. In 3 weeks? Aunt Martha waved dismissively. She's waited this long. A few more months won't get out. Sarah's voice cut through the room like ice. She stood in the doorway, Emma partially hidden behind her. Get out of our house. Uncle Steve stood, straightening his golf shirt. Now, let's be reasonable. Family helps family. Kevin's investment opportunity is solid. I stepped closer to him, close enough to smell his expensive cologne. What investment requires exactly $43,000 and a trip to Bali? His eyes flickered, a tell I recognized from 20 years of family poker nights. He was bluffing. Ryan, Aunt Martha's voice softened to a syrupy sweetness that made my teeth ache. We're prepared to cover any inconvenience this causes. We can give you $5,000 today as a goodwill gesture while Kevin's investment matures. $5,000. For my daughter's pain. For betrayal. For stealing from a medical fund. I felt something inside me snap. I pulled out my phone, opened Emma's GoFundMe page that had collected donations from friends, colleagues, and strangers, and turned the screen toward them. I'm going live on social media in 15 minutes. I'm going to show everyone Kevin's Instagram posts from Bali. Then I'm showing Emma's MRIs and the doctor's reports about her deteriorating condition. Then I'm filing a police report for grand theft. Aunt Martha gasped. You wouldn't dare. Think of what this would do to the family. What family? I asked quietly, looking over at Emma, whose eyes were wide with confusion. The one that stole from my daughter's medical fund? My finger hovered over the screen. 15 minutes. Either the money is back in the account, or your son becomes internet famous for stealing from a disabled child. Uncle Steve's face darkened. This is extortion. Kevin told us you gave him permission to invest the money. I've got the text messages proving I didn't, I countered, my voice steady. I've got the bank transfers. I've got 27 family members who contributed to Emma's surgery, not Kevin's Bali vacation. The room fell silent except for the soft sound of Emma's breathing equipment in the background. Uncle Steve pulled out his phone. I'll call him right now. This has gone far enough. I watched as he dialed, as he demanded Kevin explain himself. I watched his face fall as whatever Kevin said confirmed what I already knew. There was no investment. Just theft. 10 minutes, I reminded them as Uncle Steve ended the call, his face ashen. Aunt Martha began to cry, dabbing at her eyes with a linen handkerchief that probably cost more than Emma's monthly medications. We'll fix this, Ryan. Just don't go public. Think of Kevin's career. Think of Emma's spine, Sarah countered, moving to stand beside me, a united front. Uncle Steve looked defeated. I'll wire the money back. All of it. Just give me until tomorrow. Now, I said, unmoved. Or I start typing. He nodded once, pulled out his phone again, and began transferring funds from his own account. While we waited for the confirmation, Emma tugged at my sleeve. Dad, what's happening? Why is everyone upset? I knelt down to her level, looking into her eyes, so much like her mother's. We're just making sure your surgery happens on time, sweetheart. Did something bad happen to the money? She asked, too perceptive for her 10 years. Before I could answer, my phone chimed. A bank alert. $43,000 had been deposited into our account. I stood up, facing Aunt Martha and Uncle Steve. We're done here. You can leave. Ryan, please, Aunt Martha began. This doesn't have to change things. It already has, Sarah interrupted, moving to open our front door. Emma's surgery is in 3 weeks. We don't expect to see any of you there. As they shuffled toward the door, Uncle Steve paused. We'll deal with Kevin. But this family has been through too much to let money come between us. I laughed, a hollow sound. This isn't about money. It's about trust. It's about who shows up when Emma needs them. After they left, I sat heavily on the couch, the adrenaline draining from my body. Emma climbed carefully onto my lap, mindful of her brace. Are we still having my surgery? She asked, her small voice full of worry. I hugged her gently. Yes, sweetheart. Nothing's changed. But everything had changed. As I held my daughter, I pulled out my phone and began scrolling through my contacts. I needed to call Dr. Patel to confirm the surgery was still on schedule. I needed to call my sister Emma, the only family member who'd offered to help with Emma's recovery. And I needed to call the police. Because no matter what Uncle Steve thought, this wasn't over. The money might be back, but the betrayal remained. My phone buzzed with a text from Kevin. Hope you're happy. Parents bailing me out again. You could have just asked instead of threatening me. I stared at the message, feeling my rage building anew. He still didn't get it. This wasn't about the money, it was about stealing from his own family, from a child in pain. I opened my camera roll and found the screenshot I'd taken of his Instagram post. Kevin lounging by an infinity pool, captioned, living my best life. Sometimes you gotta splurge on yourself. Hashtag no regrets, hashtag treat yourself. The timestamp, 6 hours after he'd emptied Emma's medical fund. I forwarded the screenshot to my sister with a simple message. Family meeting. Tonight. Bring everyone except Kevin and his parents. Sarah watched me, her eyes worried. What are you going to do? I kissed Emma's forehead and set her gently on the couch beside me. I'm going to make sure this never happens again. The family gathered in my sister Emma's backyard that evening. Aunts, uncles, cousins, my parents. The contributors to Emma's medical fund. People who'd baked sale cookies, donated birthday money, held car washes to help my daughter. They deserved to know. I stood before them, my laptop open on the patio table behind me, connected to a projector my brother-in-law had set up. Sarah sat nearby with little Emma, who was having a rare good day with her pain. Thank you all for coming, I began. I'm sorry to call this meeting so suddenly, but something happened today that affects everyone here. I clicked to the first slide, a screenshot of the medical fund account, showing the balance of $43,000. This is what we raised together for Emma's surgery. Scheduled for July 15th. Next slide, the same account, balance $0. Transaction date, yesterday. A murmur ran through the gathered family members. Kevin emptied the account yesterday, I said simply. Every penny. My mother gasped. That can't be right. There must be a mistake. No mistake, I replied, clicking to the next slide. Kevin's Instagram posts from Bali, timestamped hours after the withdrawal. The murmurs grew louder. Steve and Martha have returned the money, I continued, raising my voice slightly to be heard. Emma's surgery will proceed as scheduled. Relief visibly washed over many faces, but I wasn't finished. But I called this meeting because you all deserve to know what happened to your donations, and because we need to decide as a family how to handle this." My father stood up, his face red with anger. "I'll tell you how we handle it. We call the police." Several voices echoed agreement, while others protested. I held up my hand. "Before anyone decides anything, there's something else you should see." I clicked to the next slide. Screenshots of texts between me and Kevin over the past 6 months. Kevin has been asking to borrow from the fund for months. I've refused each time. He never had permission to withdraw that money. This was theft, plain and simple. My Aunt Deborah, Martha's sister, stood up. "But they've paid it back. Surely that counts for something. Would it count for something if I broke into your house, stole your TV, and then returned it after being caught?" I asked. "This isn't about the money anymore. It's about trust." I clicked to the final slide. Emma's latest x-ray, showing her curved spine, the compression on her nerves that caused her daily pain. This is what Kevin stole from. Not from me. From Emma. The backyard fell silent. Even the children playing at the far end seemed to sense the gravity of the moment and quieted their games. My mother was the first to speak. "What do you want us to do, Ryan?" I closed the laptop. "I want to know that something like this can never happen again. I've already removed Kevin's access to the account, but that's not enough. I need to know that his actions have consequences." My father's voice was gruff with emotion. "I say we press charges." More murmurs, some agreement, some uncertainty. "That's your right," my Aunt Deborah said carefully. "But think of what that would do to the family." "I am thinking of the family," I responded. "I'm thinking of Emma, who's part of this family. And I'm thinking of anyone else Kevin might target next." My Uncle Robert, my father's brother, cleared his throat. "Kevin's always been impulsive. But this goes beyond that. This was calculated." I nodded. "Which is why I've already filed a police report." The announcement landed like a bomb. Some nodded in approval, others looked shocked. "You what?" My grandmother's voice cut through the reactions. She was 78, the family matriarch, and rarely raised her voice. "Without consulting the family first?" I met her gaze steadily. "With respect, Grandma, I didn't need consultation to report a crime against my daughter." She held my gaze for a long moment, then, to my surprise, nodded. "You're right." A phone rang somewhere in the crowd. My cousin Janet, Kevin's sister, pulled out her phone and grimaced at the screen. "It's him." The gathering grew quiet as she answered, putting the call on speaker. "Jan, thank God." Kevin's voice came through, sounding frantic. "Dad just told me Ryan filed a police report. You have to talk to him. Make him withdraw it." Janet looked at me, her expression torn. "Kevin, you're on speaker. The whole family is here at Emma's." A beat of silence. Then, "Oh, Kevin," I said, stepping closer to the phone, "you stole $43,000 from a medical fund for a child. What did you think would happen?" "I was going to pay it back." His voice rose defensively. "It was just a loan." "A loan requires permission," my father interjected. "You had none." "Come on, Uncle Bill," Kevin pleaded. "It's not like Emma was dying. She could wait. She's in pain every day." Sarah's voice cut through, sharp with maternal fury. "Every single day." Another silence. "Look," Kevin's voice softened to the persuasive tone he'd used his whole life to get out of trouble. "I made a mistake. But pressing charges? That's extreme. That would ruin my career. Is that what you want, Ryan? To destroy my life over one mistake?" I looked around at my family, at their conflicted faces, at Emma sitting quietly beside her aunt, at the future we'd all fought for, the surgery that would let her live without constant pain. "It wasn't one mistake," I said finally. "It was dozens of decisions. You decided to ask for the money repeatedly. You decided to take it without permission. You decided to book a luxury vacation. You decided to post about it publicly. You decided to lie about an investment." My voice grew stronger with each word. "And even now, you're deciding to make yourself the victim instead of taking responsibility. So that's it." Kevin's voice hardened. "You're really doing this? After everything our family's been through together?" I thought about Emma's 5th birthday, when Kevin had brought her a custom back brace decorated with unicorns. I thought about the family reunions, the holidays, the history. "The report is filed," I said simply. "What happens next depends on you." "What's that supposed to mean?" he demanded. "It means you have a choice. You can take responsibility. You can make amends, real amends, not just your parents covering for you. Or you can fight this and see where that leads." The call went silent for so long I thought he'd hung up. Finally, his voice came back, subdued. What kind of amends? I hadn't expected that response. I looked at Sarah, who nodded slightly. First, public accountability. You tell everyone exactly what you did. No sugarcoating, no excuses. Second, you get help for whatever drove you to steal from a child's medical fund. Third, you work off the money, not your parents' money, yours. A longer silence. And if I do all that? I took a deep breath. Then I'll consider asking the DA for leniency. That's not good enough, he shot back. I need a guarantee that charges will be dropped. My father stepped forward. That's not how this works, Kevin. Actions have consequences. This is bullshit. Kevin exploded. You're all turning against me over money. It was just money. No, I said, my voice quiet but firm. It was trust. I nodded to Janet, who ended the call. The family erupted in discussion, some defending Kevin, others condemning him, many caught in between. I let them talk, stepping away to check on Emma. You okay, sweetheart? I asked, crouching beside her chair. She nodded, her eyes thoughtful beyond her years. Is Cousin Kevin in trouble because of me? No, I said firmly. Kevin is in trouble because of Kevin. None of this is your fault. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Kevin landed in Seattle this morning. Martha says he's panicking after hearing about the police report. I showed the message to Sarah. He's back in the country. What do you think he'll do? She asked. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed again. A text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Detective Morales. We've taken Mr. Kevin Conrad into custody at Portland International Airport. Please call me at your earliest convenience. My eyes widened as I showed Sarah the message. They caught him at the airport. He must have flown directly from Seattle to Portland. He was running again, she asked, incredulous. Looks like it, I confirmed. Came back from Bali only to try to flee somewhere else. My sister approached, her expression grave. Ryan, what's happened? I showed her both texts. Kevin returned from Bali this morning, then immediately tried to flee again through Portland. Police just arrested him at the airport. The news spread quickly through the gathering. The debate about what to do with Kevin was suddenly moot. The legal system would handle it now. My grandmother made her way to me, leaning heavily on her cane. You did the right thing, she said, her voice cracking slightly. Hard, but right. I nodded, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. Dad? Emma tugged at my sleeve. When this is all over, will our family be okay? I looked around at the divided group, some consoling my aunt and uncle over the phone, others huddled in shocked discussion, still others approaching us with supportive expressions. Not the same as before, I told her honestly. But maybe better in some ways. More honest. She considered this, then nodded seriously. Like my back after surgery? Different, but better? I hugged her gently, careful of her brace. Exactly like that, sweetheart. As family members began to leave, some with hugs of support, others with reserved nods, I checked my phone again. Another text from Detective Morales. Subject had $23,500 in cash and a one-way ticket to Thailand. Good call. Half the money, already spent in less than 48 hours. I showed Sarah, who shook her head in disbelief. What now? She asked quietly. I looked at my daughter, talking animatedly with her aunt about the swimming she hoped to do after recovery. I looked at my sister, who'd stood by us without question. At my parents, shaken but resolute in their support. Now we focus on Emma's surgery, I said. The rest will work itself out. 3 weeks later, I sat in the surgical waiting room, staring at the doors Emma had disappeared through 2 hours earlier. Sarah dozed fitfully beside me, exhausted from the sleepless night before. My phone buzzed. A text from my sister. Court date set for Kevin. September 5th. How's our girl? I typed back, still in surgery. I'll update when we know more. Another message appeared, from Janet, Kevin's sister. I know you probably don't want to hear from any of us right now, but I'm thinking of Emma today. I hope it goes well. The family fracture had been deep. Steve and Martha hadn't spoken to me since the day of Kevin's arrest, but others had reached out in support. The dividing lines weren't as simple as I'd expected. The surgery waiting room door opened, and I looked up, expecting a nurse. Instead, my grandmother walked in, followed by my parents and sister. Hope you don't mind, Grandma said, settling into a chair across from me. Family should be together for this. I nodded, too moved to speak. Any word yet? My father asked, his gruff voice gentle. Not yet, Sarah answered, waking. Should be soon. We waited together in silence, broken only by occasional updates from other waiting families receiving news of their loved ones. My phone buzzed again. A text from an unexpected source. Kevin. Heard it's Emma's surgery today. I'm sorry for what I did. Really sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I hope she gets better. I stared at the message, unsure how to respond or even if I should. Sarah glanced over. Kevin. I nodded, showing her the message. Your call, she said softly. I thought about everything that had happened. The theft, the betrayal, the arrest, the family division, the pain and the anger. And I thought about Emma, who would wake up from surgery with a long recovery ahead, but a life with less pain to look forward to. I typed back 3 words. Thank you. She will. It wasn't forgiveness. That would take much longer, if it ever came. But it was acknowledgement. A small crack in the wall between us. The surgery doors opened, and Dr. Patel emerged, still in his surgical cap. He smiled as he approached us, and I felt my chest loosen with relief. The surgery went perfectly, he announced. We were able to correct the curvature completely. She's in recovery now. Sarah burst into tears, falling against me. I held her, my own eyes damp. When can we see her? My mother asked. About 30 minutes, Dr. Patel replied. She did wonderfully. You should be very proud. As he left, my family gathered closer, the relief palpable. She's going to be okay, my sister said, squeezing my shoulder. Better than okay, I replied. She's going to be able to swim, to run, to just be a kid without pain. My grandmother took my hand in her gnarled one. Family protects family, she said firmly. What you did protected Emma. Don't ever doubt that. I nodded, thinking of the text from Kevin, of the long road ahead for all of us. When the nurse finally came to take us to Emma's recovery room, we followed as a group. Smaller than our full family had once been, but solid. United in what mattered most. Emma lay pale but peaceful on the bed, free of her back brace for the first time in years. The surgeon had explained she'd need physical therapy, exercises, follow-up appointments, but she wouldn't need the brace again. I took her small hand in mine, careful of the 4, and watched her eyes flutter open. Dad, she mumbled, still groggy from anesthesia. I'm here, sweetheart. Mom's here too. And Grandma and Grandpa, and Aunt Emma. She blinked slowly, processing. Then, did they fix me? Sarah moved to her other side. They did, baby. Your back is straight now. Emma's lips curved in a drowsy smile. Does that mean I can be on the swim team? Next summer, I promised. As soon as you're healed. She nodded, already drifting back to sleep. Good. I'm gonna be free. I looked around at my family. At Sarah's tear-streaked face, at my parents holding each other, at my sister recording the moment on her phone, at my grandmother watching with quiet satisfaction. This was what family meant. Not perfect, not without conflict, but present when it mattered most. Standing together through the hardest moments. Protecting each other. We had lost some of our family in this ordeal, but what remained was stronger, tested by fire and proven true. As Emma slept peacefully, free from her brace and looking ahead to a life with less pain, I knew we had made the right choices, hard as they were. Some betrayals can't be undone. Some trust, once broken, can never be fully restored. But some families, even fractured, find their way to something new, something honest, something worth fighting for. Was I right to press charges against my own cousin, even after getting the money back? Should family loyalty have outweighed justice? Or did true family loyalty mean holding Kevin accountable? I still wonder sometimes.